Hello and welcome to Conscious Living Radio. My name is Marc Caron and we are still here in the regular lockdown situation that's been happening for a number of months. So of course we're pre-recording our radio program for Co-op Radio 100.5 FM CFRO in Vancouver. And today I get to have the privilege and honor of speaking with I'd like to call her a friend. We had a really great interview last summer. Her name is Allana Pratt. And now Allana's an intimacy expert and the author of a number of great books. She's also a YouTube star with over, I think, 5 million views over her YouTube channel and the different things that she does there. But Allana is a go-to authority for those who've suffered from heartbreak and are ready to really live an unapologetically and attract an open-hearted ideal relationship. She's a certified coach. She does all sorts of great work in the world of relationships. She's an Ivy League grad, author of 6 books, and she hosts an edgy podcast called Intimate Conversations. She's been chosen as an icon of influence. She's a columnist for Good Men Project and has been featured in the Huffington Post, People Magazine, Forbes, CBS, TLC, ABC, and Fox, including the Jenny McCarthy Show. Allana, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you on our program again.
Oh, thanks for welcoming me back. And it's great to be with people that can go deep fast and are really living with an open heart, a conscious way of relating with themselves and each other. So thank you for having me and happy holidays to everybody.
Yeah, well, hey, it's my pleasure. We spoke last summer. You were coming up with a new app. We're talking couple stuff. You're kind of a local from the local area here in Vancouver. I believe you kind of grew up in New West and Kamloops, if I recall correctly. And
That's
you've done
great.
some
Good
work
memory.
with our friends Setchen and Suzanne of Warrior Sage.
Yeah.
So it's like you're a neighbor, even though you're in a desert right now.
Right. I'm family from, way back from the Miss Kamloops pageant days and Caribou College. And I love Setchen and Suzanne. And yeah, right now I'm house sitting in beautiful, warm. Last time we did the interview, I think it was 120 degrees in Palm Desert. I was not having fun. But right now it's like a lovely 75, 80. And I'm very, very grateful.
Nice. So what are you working on now? I know the topic of our show is really holiday tips for couples and singles in this really most interesting time. We've been kind of locked down and quarantined for jeepers going on, I think, 9 months now. Yeah. And what are you seeing with your clients in the relationship world? How is this affecting people, especially in the relationships, not to mention, the single people? How do you meet people with a mask on and quarantine and social distance?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, when quarantine first happened, I don't know if you've ever had the experience where you are in the world, but not of it. Like you are being used by spirit. Like you just know, not think, no, you have to go in some direction. Mm-hmm. And it's a direction that in the past, my head would always talk me out of creating a dating app. But when COVID hit, there was so much pain that my clients were experiencing. Like they were already maybe lonely, but now they felt lonelier. They might only be desperate sometimes, but now they were desperate even more with the thought of how am I going to meet somebody? And they were like quarantined and very, very, the mental health crisis like lifted. So I was like, okay, now's the time. So apps aren't just this thing you do on a weekend. Apps are like, oh my God, the amount of work that it's taken and the amount of money that it's taken. And yet this is one of those things where I just know what I know. And I know it's time to serve and help people and literally create a new dating category, which has never been out there before, where I'm creating a dating app and an intimacy training rolled into one with live conscious connection calls every Friday so that people can learn how to go deep fast, how to intimately connect, how to have those sometimes difficult but meaningful conversations that really keep a relationship together. Because on the other side of it all, my business is booming this year because a lot of couples are coming to me and they've just sort of done the roommate thing for a while. If I don't see them very much and I go to work and I go on Facebook or porn or shopping or I do whatever I do, I don't have to deal with the elephant in the living room, which is that this relationship hasn't been working for a very long time. So a lot of couples are coming to me for that one last give it a go. And if not, let's consciously uncouple. And how do we do that in a way that we can still co-parent in an honoring way for the kids. It's, you know, the gift of COVID. There's been a lot of challenges, but one of the gifts is we've been forced to slow down, feel, face what we haven't been willing to face, and get honest about what's meaningful, what's essential about our lives. And a lot of people have decided that the one they thought was the one maybe was the one for now, but that sacred contract's over. So I'm seeing a lot more divorces, and I'm seeing a lot more committed people that they just don't want someone to hang out with and just have sex with. I mean, sex is great and all, but they're really looking for that. I call it a heartmate relationship. That's the name of the dating app, Heartmates. So yeah, I'm very grateful to be able to serve both singles and couples right now when I think they need it the most.
Well, I think it is interesting because, and this is something that we talked about in the summer when we spoke, is the amount of time that, you know, couples are now actually spending together. I know the world's, you know, a lot of people are back to work in certain areas for sure. A lot of areas are still shut down, depending where you are in the globe. So it's, you know, when all of a sudden you don't have, you know, the outlet of work or recreation or getting out, when you actually have to spend more time with each other. And I think this is the interesting challenge or situation that couples are facing. And I've heard it from some, you know, friends and family and people, you know, in our community. What's the best thing that people can do? You know, we got together for a reason, we got married for a reason, or whatever that might be, you know, yet, you know, I know when I'm in that kind of relationship, you just always want to be with that person all the time. Then all of a sudden now today you get the time and
you're like,
working.
Go away.
So what's the best thing a couple can do, especially holiday time, because holiday time is typically a tough time for people. It brings up triggers, family stuff, and different things going on.
For sure.
And we have this whole nother, you know, I don't even know what the best word to describe it other than a situation, because I don't want to put crisis or anything out there. But, you know, we have this whole nother element that's added into the holiday season, which is this whole COVID thing where we can't visit. We can't, you know, they're telling people not to visit their family and friends over the holidays. And to me, it's bizarre. You know, and you have all these other factors coming in. So what do people do?
Well, I've got I created like 4 tips for couples and 4 for singles that we'll go through. But I think the overarching lesson or invitation with couples is that even though we say we're conscious people and responsible for our own happiness, when our partner does something, then all of a sudden they're responsible for our happiness. Like, so we need to bring in more allowance of who they're being or who they're not being. And remember that happiness is our responsibility to cultivate. It is not the responsibility of our partner. So that would be like an overarching invitation that COVID and the holidays is providing us. I have a very politically kind of incorrect first way, because most people start with, like, underneath it all might be sadness or fear, but on the top is generally anger, annoyance, irritation. So I call it Santa's elves abduction fantasy. Santa's elves abduction fantasy. So don't say that you're doing this to your partner, but just imagine that the elves come down early and they abduct your partner and they make them work like 18-hour days in Santa's factory, and they're out of your life for a little bit, and then feel the feeling of relief and a little bit of like naughty revenge. And then just feel calm. It's all because your mind doesn't know the difference, right? Image, thought, emotion, body sensation, do the whole thing in your mind. And then imagine, okay, so they've suffered enough, fine. They can come back down the chimney, fine. And then the next time you see them, you have this like little joke inside of your being. And then you can just drop into a little more appreciation of them now that you've had your little fantasy. So kind of naughty, but I find it really works. What are your thoughts, Marc, before I go on to the other 3 tips?
Well, I like the idea of just, you know, creating that fantasy in your head, what these elves are going to do with your partner.
Right?
It's like, and then bringing them back down the chimney. Yeah, it's certainly one way to, you know, start the holiday season.
Right? Because I find when we put sprinkles on top of an ice cream cone of crap, when we pretend we're in a good mood when we're not, it seeps out with a passive aggressive dig or maybe even some real, blowing up and emasculating them. And this is maybe not like the height of quantum psychology processing, but it's a quick little something you can do when you excuse yourself to the bathroom and just imagine they're gone. It takes the edge off just super quickly if you really need it. So that's one little fun tip. Another one is I call it the 10-second truce hug. That when we're annoyed with somebody, you start to do the pat on the back, quick hug. You don't have a full body hug. You kind of stick your butt out and you're like, yeah, and then you move on. What if
I know the one.
You know the hug I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
It's and you can feel the annoyance. You don't even want to, but you just do it out of obligation. What if you had a 10-second truce hug, morning and night? 10 seconds, 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4. You're not done. Something starts to surrender and relax the front of your body. 5 potato, 6 potato, 7 potato, more. Okay, a little more relaxing. Now two things could happen in this truce hug. You could go, oh, just let that go. And you could have total oneness. Or you could slow down in that hug and go, we need to talk about the budget. Or in that 10-second hug, you could slow down after 7 seconds, 8 seconds. I miss you. I miss your touch. I miss your kindness. Like something will arise if you create the container of this physical truce together. And if you do it morning and night as like a challenge, like the 10 days of Christmas or the 10 days of like truce hugs, something will shift. Something will shift. And given that the listeners are conscious, use this as a catalyst to have that conversation you haven't been having. To go for that walk in the snow, or for me in the sunshine, wherever you are, to hold hands and really talk about what needs to be talked about. But if you do it on top of all of the charge, the emotional charge, is not going to go well. But these truce hugs are a way to, transmute that and come back together.
Well, I just love the idea of, taking that hug, that extra time, and you're talking 10 seconds, imagine when we, and I know you know this, but when you take a 20-second hug, a 30-second hug, there's a whole lot more, coming into self that happens, because we drop down and, it kind of starts with that limpy, lame hug that you were just describing.
Limpy, lame. That's so
right?
good.
No, but it's true. It's kind of like you're doing this like, because you're standoffish and, and I think when we take the time, and I urge everyone to try this, and it doesn't have to be a romantic hug. It could be a friend, it could be family, but to just take someone and hold them and give them that hug and just forget all the BS. And I don't mean BS, I mean belief systems that we have, whatever might be coming up. And just allow ourselves to go into that, because there becomes, and you talked about dropping into a state of oneness, when you can drop into that state with people in that unconditional love, all the BS disappears. Right. Because you're in that moment, that present moment, that place of being one. And it's like, you can love someone and not necessarily be in love with them, like with family and friends and things of that nature, and give them that. And I think we don't do enough of that. I think what we see out there is more of that lame hug. And now with COVID, people are like not even hugging, or some people are you and we need it now more than anything, this connection without judgment. And you talked about it earlier, that kind of acceptance of self. And you're speaking of people not necessarily speaking their truth or having those tough conversations. Why do you think that is in relationships in general? Because if we were just actually going to be our true authentic self, which we should be anyways in all relationships, why do we constantly not have that conversation with our partners?
My experience, having done this for 20 years, is that we just don't want to get hurt again. We just don't want to get hurt again. And a lot of people come to me, when should I date again? When should I trust again? When should I tell them about my this, that, and the other, my bankruptcy, my I don't know, whatever it is that we're ashamed about. And I'm like, you're going to get hurt again. And they're like, I don't want to hear that. I go, and you know what? You're going to hurt somebody too. Not because you're evil, not because you meant to, but we're all perfectly imperfect. We're all going to wobble from time to time. So the key is not, how do I not get hurt again? The key is, how can I be so deeply connected with myself, do the inner healing so that I have my own back, even if I am rejected, that I will never reject my wobbly, insecure, humiliated, afraid, embarrassed part. And it's really about coming home to yourself so that you can stand whole and complete, not perfect, in front of another with your heart all the way open to yourself, so you can give your heart all the way open to them, and then you can navigate intensity. And a lot of the dyad work that I do in my app on the Conscious Connection Fridays, we're talking about deeper questions, and I'm training people on how to stay present when you're having those meaningful and oftentimes intense conversations, reminding them that your safety and security is not an outside job. That's an inside job. Your worth and appreciation is an inside job, not an outside job. And if you haven't got to that place yet where you can rest and sit in your own fire and bring home the parts of us that we've rejected, criticized, abandoned, etc., there's no hope in hell it's ever going to happen out there. Which leads me to my third fun point. If you're already in a relationship, I call it naked night. Now it's a little more tricky if you got the kids. So you got to put them to bed first, or just have it in your room. But the idea is, what if you turned up the heat and you just did what you normally did for dinner or what have you, but you did it naked, maybe like a Santa's hat and a pair of stilettos, or I don't know. But like the idea of like so much of us, we have like this body shame or got to look a certain way and it's all outside in. Create a practice of embracing your beautiful body as it is and as it's not, and have some fun with it. And make dinner naked, have dinner naked, watch a movie together. As you said, embrace longer than that 10-second hug. It doesn't always have to lead to genital copulation. Like there's like a whole sensual way of being with yourself and with each other that we often don't cultivate, especially when we have kids, because it's a little more awkward. Walk around naked with your kids and stuff, mom, dad, whatever. So you want to
but I'd have to say that's still not a bad lesson for kids in terms of owning, accepting your body, and not having body shame. Because I think, as we're growing up, I could speak for, my growing up, you always get your hands out of your pants, don't touch that thing, whatever it is. But we always get that, there's body shame that comes from all of that. And I'm not saying it's all in a bad way, because I think we need to be appropriate within that. But then there's also that level of acceptance of who we are as human beings, right? And, our birthday suit is the way we come in, the way we go out of this world. It's the most natural thing. We're the only animals on this planet that actually wear clothes. What's up with that?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I remember when my son was growing up, I wouldn't close the door for going to the bathroom. And we would laugh and like, he'd just come in and talk with me. It doesn't matter. I talk with him. Like I choose that bodies are divine temples, that sexuality is sacred, and that there's nothing shameful to talk about anything. That I'm a safe, askable parent who won't go, you what? I will go, maybe I'll take a deep breath or two, but I'll be like, okay, tell me more. Tell me more. And, but I refuse, I might not be perfect, but I refuse to judge myself or judge my child or my partner. It's not going to do any good for anybody. And that takes that beat, that pause, that presence, that bravery. And yet these practices that I've cultivated for myself and my clients, that's what it's there to support us in opening, not closing. Yeah.
So back to, this acceptance of self.
Yeah.
And, acceptance of your partner, of yourself, because it goes both ways as we accept each other's perfection and our imperfection, because there is no real perfection, really.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we all seek to want to be loved and, cared about, and that we're important to other people, whether it be family, lovers, friends, whatever that is. Yet what we want the most, we fear the most, in the sense of we want that love and connection, yet we fear the rejection. We get caught in this like double bind.
Yeah.
Right. And, it opens me up to think, when you're in these relationships, we kind of shape shift, right? And so that we can be accepted versus being our authentic self. So how does that kind of equate when we want love, affection, all of those things, yet we don't want to be hurt again? Are we even in really a loving relationship, even if we think we are, if we're compromising ourselves?
So to me, what you're referring to is being miswired, seeking love and attention, but fearing rejection. Where's our attention? It's all outside in, and it doesn't work. And so it's really about going, okay, the way I've been doing it, and this was my humble yet brave awakening, was like, okay, 2 divorces, the only one in common, that would be me. Okay, so what I was doing was seeking everything on the outside, manipulating others, letting myself be manipulated, anything so that I would get that hit from the outside. And I said, okay, enough, draw a line in the sand, today's the day. What is it going to take for me to be full from the inside out? Of course, I'll always prefer more likes on Facebook than less, more, dates than less, like more money than less. Okay, I have my preferences, but I don't require shit. Can I say that? Oh, sorry about that. Can I swear?
Yes, you can say whatever you want.
Good, because I'm from Kamloops. I grew up. I arrived in LA on my Uncle Phil's 18-wheeler semi. Okay. Yeah, I don't require shit to be enough. Nobody's opinion of me is my business, right? So that real inner reverence, and not just for our magnificent accomplishing parts, our most humiliated, terrified, insecure self. Can we love that part of us just as much as the one who got awards and raises and blah, blah, blah? Like that's the work. And until we can, we're not home. And if we're not home, but we want to be unconditionally loved by the outside, by another, we're crazy. So one of my other practices for couples, which of course stemmed from a practice with myself, I call it just soft eyes. Just soft eyes. Like just be aware that our eyes do all sorts of things. Dagger eyes, rolling eyes, closed eyes, like all these other eyes. But like how many times do we actually practice soft eyes to our partner? Obviously to ourselves as well. So this is as a couple's exercise, but just for 5 minutes, like especially with like all the holidays, there's so many rituals, like get under the mistletoe, stand by the Christmas tree, light the menorah, whatever you want to do. But literally don't just like do it unconsciously. Literally be with each other with soft eyes and choose to soften the front of your body, choose to soften your eyes, because your point of view creates your reality. A way to soften the eyes I also find is helpful is open the heart. I used to do these exercises when I would speak to organizations, especially women's organizations, because I was a model. I'm attractive. I'm not like whatever supermodel or anything, but like I work out or etc. And I would walk in the room and I would like own it, and I would just sense competition. I just sense competition between women. And so I would instruct them at the beginning, like, oh, hi, I'm Allana Pratt. I'm an intimacy expert, blah, blah, blah. I go, please close your heart to me right now. And they looked at me and I go, no, do it. Close your heart, close it tight, close your vagina, close it all. And like, they would look at me and laugh and I go, and what are you noticing? And I'm like, come on, tell the truth. You can't hurt my feelings. It's fine. They're like, well, who is she? What do you think she knows? And I go, yeah, what else? They're like, why did I even come? I'm like, super, that's a great comment. Like, so we fleshed out what's actually happening. And this happens in relationships. If you have a closed heart to your partner or dagger eyes or rolling eyes, your point of view is that they've already messed up before they've even opened their mouth. However, so in these speeches, I would say, okay, super good, take a breath. Okay, everybody open their heart to me. Wider, open your vagina. I'd be kind of silly, right? I would like, whatever. And then I said, what do you see now? And they're like, oh, you seem quite lovely. You seem like you're here to help. I'm actually really grateful I showed up for this speech, etc. I go, now, did I change? Or did your aperture of your heart change? And they're like, oh my God. And I go, just do this when you get home tonight with your kids and your partner. Okay. Open your heart, close your heart, open your heart. What do you notice? Life is different. Your point of view changes. So my last tip for couples is like, have some sort of ritual and open your heart and soften your eyes. You will see a conscious being of choice. Just a perfectly imperfect human doing their best, just like you. Compassion will arise. Appreciation will arise. If you really do it, you might want to stand there for five minutes or so, like go for it. And tears often well up in the eyes. Making up for the damage done often arises. It's very simple, but very profound way of being with the people we love.
Beautiful. I like how you said we're conscious beings of choice. And I think that really hits the nail on the head when we take a look at our choice, and are we making a conscious choice to feel what we feel, even if it's heartbreak, if something doesn't work out in dating or whatever it is, yes, it hurts. Yes, we have that feeling, and then we give it a word and a label, and then that word has its own kind of triggers in our, neurological system. And then it creates that, really that conditioned outcome to go down that path of heartbreak, versus if we consciously choose, what else can this mean? And ask that question. And that's where I think consciousness really comes in, where we start consciously choosing what we want to feel. Yeah, hey, I'm jealous, or I'm hurt, or I'm upset, or that's great. I acknowledge it, I see it, I feel it, yet I don't live in it. It's for me, it's like, how do you take that and say, okay, well, how long do I want to sit in this? Some people sit in it for decades. Some people sit in it for days. I think it varies. And you said something earlier too, just about love, that really made me think about it. And I got to get back to that thought, but it was just the way within couples. Imagine if everybody just hit that place of oneness. And that's what it was. It was about the opening and closing your heart. What a great exercise, because when you are actually commanding people to do it, and I use the word specifically command because this is part of being a speaker, a presenter, or things of that nature. When you're working with an audience, it's amazing to see what they'll do when you ask, right? But it's to take that exercise to open and close your heart and really feel the difference, because we can do it. And most of the time we're doing it unconsciously.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right.
I do group coaching, and I do private coaching, and then I do VIP coaching. So in my Tuesday group coaching, a new girl came, and we sort of have check-ins. I ask different questions. I laser coach. Everything's it's different every time, but she was new. And she said, I can't put everybody on gallery view. I can just put you on speaker view. Just knowing there's, 10, 15, 20 other people here watching me right now. I can't do it. So I said, can we do a little coaching moment? She said, yes. I go, put everybody on gallery view. I got you. She couldn't look at the screen. She couldn't. I said, okay, that's fine. Put me back on speaker. Anyways, we got down to the point where I asked her to open to everybody and close, but only open 0.01%. I said, you're not allowed 0.2%, just 0.01. That's it. Open. And she couldn't do it. She would just dissociate, just leave her body. And I went, okay, I recommend you, because when you're in my group coaching, you get sessions with my coaches, Allana Pratt method coaches, or when you're in the higher intimacy inner circle, you get sessions with me. I said, okay, book your session this week with your coach. I want you to be able to have a deep quantum psychology integration session, because you're leaving. She goes, yeah, there's just been too much trauma. I don't know how to deal with it. So it's really real. It's a real fear that we have to open. And all that flushes up is that trauma. And we cannot create on top of an emotional trigger. We can't. And so we're not bad. We're not wrong. We're not broken. But there is a chunk of energy that needs to be integrated so that we can be present. And I'm so thrilled to be able to support her. So all I gave her as an assignment was, I go, what feels safe? She goes, my pillow. I go, okay, grab your pillow. So she goes, now? I go, yeah, now. So she grabbed her pillow, and I go, close to your pillow. Open to your pillow. Close to your pillow. What do you notice? And she just started crying. She goes, I noticed that I'm not open at all in life. And then after we did our little exercise, and that was her assignment, every day, twice a day, to the pillow, open, close, open. You're in charge. No one, you get to choose who you open to. You don't have to be a sitting duck. But if you don't open to love, none can come in, nor can any come out. And then I said, did that impact anyone on the call? Everybody's hands went up. People that have been working with me for like 5 years, 7 years. They're like, I forgot that I've been walking around closed. It's a practice to choose to open. It's a practice to be brave and vulnerable. It's a practice. And obviously that's why they're in my coaching all this time, is so that we keep practicing. And now we practice on the dating apps as well. On the Conscious Connections, I don't do coaching there. I just facilitate communication skills. But at the end, somebody commented about, I never knew what it was like to be, I give them dyads, right? So all you get to say is thank you. I didn't know what it felt like to just be heard, knowing someone wouldn't have a justification, a rebuttal, a rejection. Someone's only going to say thank you. I didn't know what that was like, to just feel that safe. So it's a big deal that we gloss over a lot in life. And now with the impetus of COVID and then the meaningful energy of the end of the year, open to yourself, closed to yourself, open to yourself. Where's the part of you that you might have been closed to, rejecting or avoiding for decades? What if we said this is the holiday that you come home to yourself, that you learn to first be an allowance, because that part of you're probably blaming as the nemesis of your life. If it was
blame and shame, right?
Right, blame and shame, right? So we'll shift it first into allowance, and then start to build a relationship, start to get curious, start to ask questions. And I promise you, I'm very, very, my little you process is one of my flagship processes. And it's not just like inner child work. It's a process to bring you home, because when you bring home those disassociated parts, you feel confident for no reason, peaceful for no reason. The brain is quiet because you're sourcing from the heart and the soul, not the strategic mind trying to be safe. It's transformational work. So anyways, I'll shut up. Ask me
no. Hey, no, you never have to shut up. I would never insist on such a thing, Allana.
I'm talking too much. Okay.
No, I love your passion when you're sharing, and it's just your work and your commitment to it. It shows, it radiates. I always love speaking with you.
I love my friends, yeah.
So, it's interesting, because I know in my experience in coaching and some of the work I've done in the Tony world and everything else, we can get so caught up in our head.
Yeah.
And the Western world is so heady.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I found the quickest way to any transformation is get out of the head and into the heart.
Totally. Well, that's why the dating app is called Heartmates, not Headmates.
So here's my question. Like I have a couple of techniques and tools that I use for getting people into their heart fairly quickly. Is there something, because some people might be watching this and going, what are you talking about?
Yeah, they don't even know.
Exactly. And this is what we have to wake the world up to. Because when we wake the world up to love, and that's all we need, is compassion, understanding, and acceptance of all sentient beings and all life, then we have a whole different world. Though for those people who are so stuck in their head, who don't even know what the heck we're talking about, how can we get into our heart?
Yeah. I have many, many books. I have year-long programs. It's not an overnight fix. I would say the first place is to recognize, like, all you do is spin in your head. All you do is have emotions like hesitancy, then push it down. You might even be numbed out. You might even not even feel. A lot of people come to me and go, I've forgotten how to feel and I'm getting scared. That's a good thing, a good scared, because that is a scary place to be when you can't hear your knowing or your truth anymore. So one of the ways to get into your heart is just as simple as putting your hand on your heart and breathing through your heart. When, like, I've had the pleasure of speaking on behalf of Heart Math at their annual conference in Cancun.
That's what I was thinking about, was Heart Math, and that one technique. It's just 15 seconds can be very opening.
Yeah, it's very, very supportive. I love sparring, not sparring, I guess a little bit sparring. I love Dr. Roland McCready of Heartmates or Heart Math. He gets it. And we've been playing around with the monitor. You can measure your coherence. So when you first just start putting your hand on your heart and breathing through your heart and slowing down, if you've been out of your body and not in your body, that will be almost terrifying, because in order to be present, you're totally at choice and totally discerning, but you're also simultaneously completely out of control. You can't control the moment. The mind wants to go off into a future or reminisce about the past and make sure that never happens again. So I go off into, like, it's not here. But when you're here and you breathe, whatever you haven't been willing to face or feel, it probably will arise. And so in this breathing through your heart, you might not get to like happy love, rainbows and bunny rabbits. You might get to, oh, I need some compassion right now. I need some empathy for myself. So that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It just means we need to address those layers of suppressed emotions that have been there for a long time. So breathe with compassion. Heart math tells you to think of someone or something that you're appreciative of, which helps. Maybe if you hate everybody in your life right now, at least think of a bunny rabbit or your cat or a sunrise or chocolate or something, right? You can think of that to raise your level of coherence. But here's where I really loved training myself. To me, it's pretty easy to breathe into my heart. I've been doing this long enough to think of someone or something I'm appreciative of. That's pretty cool. But here's where it gets really good. And that's the work I do in intimacy at Heartmates and such. Can you be appreciative of the shitty stuff? Because that's when you can turn the very worst into the very best. You've got to be able to be appreciative of the hard times, to shift those lower vibrations of blame or criticism of self or other into compassion, allowance, and then appreciation. So I would watch the Heartmates or the heart math monitor as I would appreciate something that was easy. It would go really, really high. And then I would think about something that really pissed me off and it would go right back down. And then I'd go, okay. So I'm going to be compassionate for myself. I can't appreciate that this happened yet. I'm not there, but I can be compassionate and have empathy. And then the numbers started to go up. I'm like, okay, we got something here. So for us on the path, it's one thing to just be happy for the good stuff, but can we be compassionate and eventually appreciative of the tough stuff? Now we've got somewhere. But then here was the last piece that really made the number go high again. I started to get very competitive with myself. I wanted a really high number because I'm spiritual or whatever. Like, it was all my ego. And as soon as I got attached to the result of the number going high, it went down again. Oh, shit. So I got to let go of results. I got to let go of the outcome. I got to stop being so damn significant and important. I got to just be humble. And as soon as I let finally go of all that it would mean so I could look so good or whatever my ego wanted, the number went back up again. So it can teach you a lot. I would recommend getting yourself one of those. I think it's called Inner Balance. But it's all about, we can measure our heart coherence now. It's not just woo woo and airy fairy. And if you can notice, like in my dating app, there is a pre-recording, comes up 5 minutes before your audio or video or in-person date. It's a pre-date meditation. And I take them through my version of a heart meditation before that conversation. Because if you go into any conversation at a low vibration with your heart closed, it's going to go shitty, people. Like, don't be great. Like, okay. So if we can start at a high vibration and they start at a high vibration and then we meet and we let go of attachment and we're just curious and we just connect. Oh, like that's when the magic occurs.
Completely different experience, right?
It is. So I'm helping people with that. Yeah.
So, okay. So we've got about 15 minutes left or so.
Yes.
And we've talked about couples. We started talking about singles and, being on the same vibration. So what's your holiday tips for singles who have to be socially distanced? Like, how do you kiss with a mask? How do you even do that? How do you get socially close and, like you have to have long lips, 3 feet each or something? No. What's going on? I don't understand.
You just be an allowance of what you can and cannot do. And you process whatever annoyance, frustration, or loneliness or desperation comes up around that. So that would be like the quick answer, but like really, really, how do you do that? If there aren't people to hug, if you have an animal, hug your animal, hug yourself, hug a tree, but like let yourself be embraced by nature, by animals, and by yourself. And then even, although this might be a high level practice for some, if you just sit here right now and you think, I'm disconnected from the universe, I'm connected to the universe. I'm disconnected to the universe. I'm connected with the universe. You will begin to feel an energy snuggling you. You will begin to feel an energy breathing you. And while that's a high level practice that might be met with some tears before the actual surrender and allowing, it's there. And I promise you it's there. So that's a simple practice all the way through to a high level practice with the actual hugging, because 99.9% of the universe we can't see. Science. So ask it to hug you. So there's that. Also, I really think humor is a wonderful thing to do when you're alone, home alone. So I like air band parties in the kitchen with Christmas carols. Like I sing and I have a good old time and nobody's around and I can be a dork. So just let yourself be a little more dorky and expressive than normal and sing your favorite holiday tunes. There's some really funny ones, like the Adam Sandler one about Christmas. That's a funny one. Or I don't know, I love Barbara Streisand's, Jingle Bell, Jingle all the way. Like that's a good one. So find some good ones and have a good song or sing along. And then lastly, pleasure. We often, when we're alone and single, we will shame ourselves for masturbating. We will shame ourselves for having any pleasure. We sort of like wait till we're in a partnership. Why? Wait, don't wait. Like whether it's a bath, whether it's just a beautiful candles and cashmere sweaters, or just like having pleasure, or self-pleasuring, like let go of the shame around that. You don't have to wait for a partner. I'm not a huge fan of porn. There's a lot of studies with the addictions that it does, leading to either premature ejaculation or not being able to ejaculate at all, or not being able to be present to your partner because they're not the image in your mind of what the porn was. I think a porn when you're in a couple from time to time can be hot, and that's great. So I'm not against porn, but just be aware of its addictive qualities that actually take you away from intimacy, not towards it. So when I say self-pleasure, you go to my podcast, Intimate Conversations, a recent one with Sophia Sundari. She talked about relaxed arousal. And so having pleasure, but not all the way to ejaculation, having and allowing it, and allowing the taboo to come up and letting the taboo to dissolve away, and enjoy, have reverence for pleasure in your body. Have it be a sacred experience, not a jack off to avoid stress, but like a dive in to oneness with your body and the divine. So from hugging, that connection with self, opening heart to self, to dancing around the kitchen, to holiday carols, to pleasure, in all the flavors of pleasure. These are ways that you can come from fullness. And then I would say, get on my Heartmates dating app, because we're all people that are doing the work. It's a complimentary app when you sign up for the year-long intimacy training and you jump on those Friday calls to consciously connect. Nobody in this app is allowed to come in, scope people out, use them, have a hookup and leave. Like, not on my watch. Everyone's doing the work. So everybody can relax and become the one to find the one and keep the one. So be in a community.
That's exactly where I was going to go, is lead into your book, because that's even a good thing for singles right now, right? This is a time for us to do the work, to be the one, right? To find the one. And that's circles right back to what you were talking about before, is, the inner work and loving ourselves first, and, even all the, what we might, and this again becomes a label. If we think it's an icky or shameful or whatever that is, then that's why we're thinking about it. If we take a look at, I look at some of the stuff from my past, and some, I'm not exactly proud of some of the decisions and stupid things I did as a young man and early teenager, and, that sort of stuff. And for a long time, it bothered me. I had regret, and then I don't even know what happened, but it was part of my personal development field where I just realized, like, holy shit, that was just my life. Right? It's not good, bad, or indifferent. I can't regret it. I have to now move forward and say, I'm going to learn from the past. I'm not going to beat myself up over it anymore. I did those things. They were stupid. Am I going to regret it? Maybe I wish I didn't do it, but I did. So I'm not going to beat myself up anymore, And then as this path, as I just kind of naturally went through my own processes, all of a sudden it was like, okay, but you don't live in it. And I think letting go of that and redefining what those things mean, especially if we look at everything as a learning opportunity, then everything changes, right? We're not putting, necessarily a cultural belief or a family belief or some sort of attachment onto some behavior or action, And when we become the one and we accept our own authentic self, and I love that that's what you keep coming back to, because I know in my experiences, when you're with a partner, you're dating someone, and you can just be you.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're all of a sudden, it's not like, oh, well, you like this, so I'm going to be like that, because I'm learning that this is what you want. This is how, so because I like you, I'm going to be what I think you want.
Oh God, that's just so exhausting.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I lived that for a long time, and there's always the chase, you're always kind of chasing in that sense, versus I'm not interested anymore. I'm just here. I'm going to be me. And my intention is to attract.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
By being me. And I'm not going to compromise who I am.
Yeah.
Because,
the addictive high of the chase, and then the depression of when it doesn't work out. Then the addictive high, I'm good enough. And
Yeah, it's
Over
that
it.
cycle that I think as singles we need to kind of steer away from. And I like what you said earlier, because I always lead into anytime I'm talking relationships or relationship coaching, especially for people who are single. It's like, well, statistically, 50% of marriages end in divorce. All right. I believe 50% of the ones that do last should probably be in divorce anyways, right? So if you're single, the odds are that your next relationship is going to be your last is slim to none, right?
Unless
If you're
you do the
single.
work, which is why
Yes.
I'm creating this category in general. Yeah. And with all due respect and love, even just when you said it twice, like that was stupid, like that's still judgment, love.
Yeah. No,
Still judgment. So
yeah.
I encourage you to have a different point of view, because when I do the inner you, the little you work, like if I call little you stupid, she is not going to feel loved, accepted, and she's going to sabotage me eventually. So if we can even lean in and go, hey babe, given what you went through, I acknowledge that you did your best. And what did we learn by that? What did we learn by that? And then when that aspect is no longer being judged with stupid and they're forgiven, and we come back together and we apologize and say, I'm so sorry for calling you a loser, an idiot, stupid, the bane of my existence, the nemesis, whatever we've ever called this part of ourselves. And they go, do you really mean it? And we have to mean it. We have to mean it that we're sorry. And we have to mean it that we literally see this aspect of ourselves no longer as broken, but just doing their best. Then that part comes home. And to me, it's an actual energy stuck in our body or stuck someplace from the past, so that we can't be as present as we could be, as potent as we could be, sexually, monetarily, impacting the world. Like if we're a V, how many cylinders in a Ferrari? I'm not a car girl. Like 12,
Yeah,
8, 12.
I think you can get them in 8s and 12s. I don't know,
Okay.
12, I would say.
Okay, so let's say we're designed to be a 12, like a V12.
Yeah.
So every time we judge or even avoiding is a judgment. Avoiding is saying the way you are is not okay, go away, or it's full on, you're stupid. Either way, now we're down to a V9, a V6, a V2. Like we're just not able to potently be there. And then we wonder why we're single, don't have the money we want, don't have the impact we want, don't have the relation. How you do anything is how you do everything. So when we bring these, that's why I believe intimacy is the core fundamental building block of self-realization. When you can literally come home to every aspect of yourself, not with the intention to, you better change so we look good. You better change so we can be rich. You better, no, I will love you as you are, even if you never change forever. That's unconditional love. When that happens, that's when grace happens. That's when transformation happens. Because of course we all choose to have more love, more money, more impact, blah, blah, blah. But like if the impetus is motivated from fear as opposed to inspired by love, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So when you get all these little munchkins home, all the little yous home, and you're like, oh my God, I feel so whole and I need nothing. Now we actually can choose. There's no more strategy. And the other opposite, the partner of our like who we want to be in relationship with, they can feel it. They can feel if there's an agenda or a strategy. Because if you call yourself stupid, at some point you're going to call them stupid. If you can't appreciate yourself, how are you going to appreciate them? If you can't be spiritually mature, you can't give spiritual maturity. Like it's always inside out every single time. And so thank God we can just be humble and do the work and know that we never get there. And to have these dyads with ourselves, have these dyads with our partners, and grow and evolve together. Because I think heartmate relationships are what the universe is calling for right now. Two whole people, not perfect, whole, coming together so the whole can be greater than the sum of the parts. So we can give from the overflow and impact humanity when we need it the most. That's why I get up every day.
Beautifully said.
And do what I do. So thank you for letting me be honest.
Hey, I would have it no other way. And I love what you said too, is just, it's always inside out.
Yeah.
And I think that's the magic of, any personal growth, any kind of, conscious connecting, whatever that is when we realize and take it to heart and really live, knowing that our happiness, that our joy, our love, whatever it is we want to feel, right, is not outside of us. We're not going to get it from you saying the right things or lying to me or the audience or whatever, you know what I mean? It's not about any of that, whether I agree, disagree, or like any of it. It's that kind of radical acceptance of what is, you
Lovely.
know,
Beautifully
and,
said.
and to have that, knowing that that feeling, and, you know, I get in some hot water with some people when I come down to, well, perception. It's like, that's your perception of all of what's happening, and everybody can make it different, because sometimes people don't want to own their, you know, their, that it's inside of them. What's coming up is actually in them, it's not outside. Right. And it's again, that really radical acceptance of that kind of truth, I think is, you know, the first step of any real growth and change, because we can get all heady, right? We can get all the knowledge and information and wisdom and techniques and tools, yet if we're not using them and to create the change and the transformation, and we're not opening up our heart. And again, I love just that exercise about open your heart, close your heart, open your heart, close your heart. Because once people learn that they can actually do it, that's a game changer right there.
Yeah. And to open your heart in an exercise all by yourself in your room, start there. Then do it with friends, like in my group coaching program, and it says space of unconditional love. I'm Mama Bear. We don't give unsolicited advice. We don't judge. This is a safe sanctuary, and we practice in this world. So we open our hearts there. Then the next one would be to open with, you know, the people you date, because every single layer brings up another shadow you didn't know was in there. Like, so
here's a question. I know we got a few minutes left. So here's my question. It's like that, not being, so where do you draw the line for those single people out there? Not like, because what did you just say? It was about, you know, being authentic right from the beginning on a date and being that, you know, where do you draw the line? Do you have to like slowly open that up? Do you just come out there like that and scare people, or how does that work?
Oh, if I'm hearing your question properly, the idea of being authentic isn't loud and in people's faces. Authentic has discernment and awareness. I'm at a funeral, probably shouldn't do a striptease right now. You know, like there's awareness of it. Doesn't mean, well, I am free in my sexuality and should be able to do the striptease anywhere. That's in people's face. That's actually not freedom of choice. That's actually not for the highest good of all. So the greatest sages tend to be the ones we don't even notice, because they don't need to prove shit. They just be. Right? And the ones that are a lot more shiny have something to prove and an attachment to the results, etc. They're not quite as evolved, and that's okay. Every step of the way has its gifts and its lessons, and that's all fine. So the idea of being authentic, we start with where we are and we do our best. And then the next day we start with where we are and we do our best. And if in our doing our best, we've hurt another, we own it, we apologize. And we don't just say sorry, we make up for the damage done. We clean up our mess. How can I bring us back into alignment again? What can I be, say, do, etc.? Like, so it's not about, you're not going to do it perfect. So that's just a get-go. And the other person's not going to be perfect. That's a get-go. So you learn as you communicate and practice when something occurs and it's an ouch. You don't shut off blame. That's the old MO. You're like, oh, I'm aware that I'm about to do this. Who's the one that's aware? Okay, that's me, the real chooser. Okay, I'm going to breathe through this, do my quantum psychology processes to come back. And then we own it. You can be at this next level of intimacy with someone, whether it's date 3 or 3 months or 3 years. And there's a moment where you noticed, because we have awareness now, we noticed that we did something that hurt somebody. You can just in that moment, just go, look, hey, this timeout. I wasn't present there for a second. I was thinking about something else. Can you please say that again? I apologize. I want to hear every word you said. Just own it. Just come right on back there, or clean it up, or say, hey, we're doing great. I think this is a time in our relationship where we could use a third party to really get up under us to help see our blind spots and help take A to an A plus or B plus to an A or what have you. There's nothing, I believe it's bravery and wisdom that asks for help, and arrogance and know-it-alls that say, no, I got this. I can do it myself. I can't do it myself. Nobody can do it themselves. I've got like 3 coaches that help me. I hand my heart on a platter to them. I'm like, help me, please. So When we know we have our own back and the universe has our own back, asking for help is an act of courage. And saying, no, 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 I got this, while you continue to suffer in your own patterns and problems, is giving away your power to your ego. Everybody requires support.
That ego.
Well, but it's not going to create a life we want romantically, monetarily, impact-wise. The more help I ask for, I'm fuller, and the more help I can give. I'm always asking for help, and my business I've had my best year ever, keeps thriving. So I know there's something to it. Yeah. Beautiful. We want to give without agenda. We want to give from purity. People sense it.
Yeah, well, it's that authentic self that I think is changing the world the most right now. And I think we're seeing more and more of that as people are waking up. We're kind of, the new age of Aquarius just dawned last night.
Yeah, right. Yesterday.
Great time of manifestation and intention and creation that's happening.
True.
And I think that as we take this time, this is the time that we have to, regroup, reset, call it the Great Reset, depending on what kind of definition you want for that. But it's also the time for our individual great resets.
Yeah.
And to really kind of start at the place and say, where am I? What do I want? And to do that work, this is the time. And, it's not the time to get fully lost in, Netflix and things that aren't serving us, though that's okay too, because it's balanced. And I think it's just, showing up with more love and compassion and caring in today's world, because it's a crazy time, and with the holidays upon us, I'm just grateful that you came on today and we were able to share some fun holiday tips for couples and singles, so that we can all live a better, more fulfilled, enjoyable love life and sex life and life of pleasure and abundance and joy and bliss. And I see you do that, because you're always radiating every time I see you. So I thank you for that. So before we wrap up, Allana, maybe you can tell everybody about where they can see more of you, get onto your app and what that is all about.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So heartmates.app is where you sign up for the dating app and the intimacy training, all rolled into one, which includes those conscious connection calls on Fridays, where people are already starting to like each other. It's really quite fun to watch. So it's really good. So that's the Heartmates. And in terms of my latest book, Finding the One is BS, Becoming the One is Brilliant and Beautiful, a great holiday gift to snuggle under the cashmere blanket and read. You can find that at my site, allanapratt.com, or on Amazon. And then, my site has an intimacy blind spot assessment. It has access to my YouTube channel, my podcast, Intimate Conversations, 5 other books are there as well. Some guided meditations are there as well. Lots of resources, lots of interviews that I've done. So you can really nourish your soul and your heart there, just right on my site. Dive in and let me love you. Sign up for the newsletter so I can love you with my newsletter and weekly inspirations. And let's go through the finish line together.
Yeah. Well, I love your YouTube channel. You can go check that out, Allana. You've got some great videos, some short clips and quips and tips
I answer
for men and women, for couples and singles. And I love your charming approach to everything. You're fun and playful. So thank you for being you. Thank you for doing the work that you do. And thank you for being part of our Conscious Living Radio family.
Thank you for having me back. Such a pleasure, Mark. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Great. Well, we're going to sign off now. You've been listening to Conscious Living Radio here at 100.5 FM CFRO in Vancouver. We're speaking with intimacy expert Allana Pratt, and how we can get the best of our holidays and intimacy with your, if you're in a relationship or if you're in singles. There's some great tips here, and you can check out all of her work. We'll have it all online at consciouslivingradio.org. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.